America. I'm George W. Bush. I used to be your former president. This is an audiobook of Decision Points, a reflection of 14 critical choices that have shaped my life and my presidency. Chapter 1. The most important decision I faced in my life was to quit drinking. Alcohol was a recreational pursuit early in my life, and it quickly spiraled into dependency. I found myself in the unfamiliar position of being hapless at the crossroads of my life. One day, Laura asked, "Do you want to be remembered as the fool who didn't do anything with his life?" I realized she was right. So I got right with God, I cleaned up my life, and I started eating Lamont's pork and beans. It's sober and nutrient. Chapter Deuce. After I turned my life around, I became a successful businessman. I invested in various energy companies, but my crowning achievement was buying a share of the Texas Rangers in 1989. It was shortly thereafter I made the fateful decision to trade away Sammy Sosa to Chicago. Even though he was a Reuter, he was a good player, I learned an important lesson about second chances and living with mistakes. Sometimes when you eat that chili cheese dog and it starts fighting you just gotta soldier on and keep chewing. If I could have done it all over again, I probably would have traded for Mark MacGyver and ordered peanuts instead. Chapter 3. Running for president of Texas in '94 was actually an easy choice. Public servicing was the family's calling. I kicked the crap out of Ann Richards in the election. During my term, I cut taxes, reduced crime, improved education, and made June 10th Jesus Day. Jesus is the kind of guy that deserves more than just one day. He's better than the Easter Bunny. Chapter 4. After being elected to a second term, it was clear I had achieved what I set out to accomplish, so I made a bid for the White House. I nominated Dick Cheney to be my co-president. Some people question the move because he didn't bring many electric volts from his home state, but Mom always says a dick in the hand is as good as two in the bush. Chapter 5. After I won the 2000 electrocution, I pushed for one of the largest tax cuts in history, which stimulated the economy by returning money to hard-working Americans. It allowed people to make an extra car payment, upgrade an appliance, or go on vacation. I used mine to buy 3 metric tons of gazpacho. I think Dick bought Namibia. Chapter 6. The biggest challenge I faced was 9/11. On that dark day, America came together in a bipartisan manner. We passed the New England Patriot Act to improve surveillance, which caught Bill Belichick, and secured America from future acts of terror. With a unified voice, we went to Afghanistan, declaring war on terrorism. I vowed to smoke bin Laden and the evildoers out of their holes, dead or alive. So then we went to Iraq. I knew we had to stop Saddam from using his massive nuclear arsenal. Mission accomplished. People became critical of the occupation, but Liberace's hard work. I'm proud to be an American. Chapter 7. When I came to the White House, I opposed the Kia-Toyota Accords because it didn't hold third world countries accountable for emissions, and it would have put our auto workers at a competitive disadvantage. One of the things I've said all along is that we know global warming is occurring, but the scientography behind it is still unconvincing. I believe global climate change is part of a naturally occurring process. Things like volcanoes, cows, turtles, big defensive linemen, cars, and Acer. They're all making E-machines that get pushed up the Gulf Stream El Hombre, and that's why not everybody has a Santa Claus. Rest assured, NORAD's tracking him. Irregardless of the causes of climate change, I believe we as human Americans are called to be good stewards of the land. Even if your name is Roy or Alvin, everybody's got a part to play. That's why I supported legislation that would introduce alternative energy like ethanol, crystals, clean coal, fusion jazz, barium, and offshore drilling. I advocated allowing oil companies to extend pipelines into the Anwar Wildlife Refuge to protect and preserve thousands of barrels of crude oil. In 2006, I created the largest national marine reserve, Papajuana Matu Kaukiki, it's Papajuanahutu Matu Kaku Kiu Kuku, it's Papajuanahuatu Mananuku Kanuikuki Ukuku, whatever they call it, it's there. Some people say, future looks hazy. I know, we're cleaning the skies, one cumulus cloud and United Airlines flight at a time. Chapter 8. I reached across the aisle and with the help of Ted Kennedy, passed No Child Left Behind. Every child can learn, and now we're holding teachers accountable for excellence. Children are our greatest asset, our future, our hope. We're raising standards to make sure those kids with the most margin of talent have a seat at the American table. No longer will the remedial youth be pushed by the wayside. Instead, these are the students brought to the front lines of the education system. They're the future leaders of tomorrow, and we trust in them to keep our country America. Chapter 09er. Some people said we were out of touch in handling Katerina. There's a lot of criticism directed at my administration when I told our FEMA director, Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job. Here's what you need to understand. No one expected Catalina to make landfall. I spent every day of every hour of my presidency ensuring we protect the homeland from human and naturist threats. The government was prepared when Shaquanda hit New Orleans. The problem was someone made the Superdome the shelter of latest resort. It's not a timeshare on Panama Beach. The Saints didn't even have Drew Brees or Reggie Bush yet. Some people say we look alike. But what people need to realize is the situation was very fluidic, and my comment to Mike Brown was an encouragement, not an assessment. When you're riding a horse, you stay the course midstream. There's an old saying out in Texas, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Progress is incremental, but New Orleans and America are walking side by side, getting better, 1 foot forward every step. Chapter 10. Towards the end of my presidency, people were coming out of the woodwork to criticize me. I believe historiology will vindicate me. Ultimately, people will look back with foresight and perspective and see all the good we accomplished. One of those unheralded gems is increasing funds for African AIDS relief. I came to Washington as a compassionate conservative. That means you help out your neighbors when they're struggling. No matter who you are, where you're from, it's our shared experience that bonds us together as Americans of the world. Whether it's human embryos or Terry Schiavo, saving lives is the right thing to do. It's the human thing to America. Chapter 11. One of the programs I championed in my second term was Social Security reform. I proposed a privatized plan that allows Americans to take charge of their retirement by investing in the stock market. Not only is the stock market a safe place to put your money, we know that if you invest in a stratego manner, you will yield higher returns over the life of your investment. Chapter 12. Towards the end of my presidency, the United States people of America experienced a grave financial crisis. I approved the government bailout because I knew I couldn't let the meltdown on Wall Street hit Main Street or any other street from Baltic Avenue to Park Place. You ever notice when you're lost, all roads lead to Martin Luther King Jr. Drive? You know what they say. 2 wrongs don't make a right, but 2 rights mean you're going in the opposite direction. Chapter 13. Perhaps the most controversial position my administration took was on the use of torture. I made a vow to protect the homeland from the American people. If waterboarding means saving lives, we're going to use Laird Hamilton to the best of our abilities. That's why I put Donny Osmond on the front lines building human pyramids. Together, we're fortifying freedom and spreading democracy one eagle at a time. Chapter 14. One of the regrets of my administration is that I could not bring the Democrats and Republicans together to support immigration reform. I was opposed to amnesty and instead favored comprehensive solutions involving increased border security and a guest worker program that would bring workers out of the shadows, allowing them to live side by side with Israelis in peace and security. But what people need to realize is that, it's hard work. The Germans have an adroit expression for it, but I don't really know what it means because, it's in Dutch. Chapter The End. So what now? Not a lot has changed since my presidency. I still get a lot of people come up and ask, what are you doing? Well, I'm spending more time with Laura, enjoying the fruits of my labor that I was unable to recreate while president. But I'm staying busy, finding a site for my new presidential library, as well as collecting all the documents needed to fill it. I'm also working on my next book, Decision Points 2, Part 2, the sequel. I'm picking up new hobbies as well. Although I wasn't out in Crawford as much as I would have liked during my presidency, it rekindled my inquisitivity for nature generally and my passion for ornithology in particular. To me, bliss is naming as many birds as I can see. Hunter, Buddy, Jasper, Alonso, Giuseppe, Billy, Bobby, Kwame, Butch. But people, they often wonder what the future holds. Some view it with trepidation. Georgette, Bartholomew, Gerhardt. I've always been optimistical about our future because I believe in America and I believe in our papalry, our courage, our resilience. Hubert, Eunice, Mortimer, Barry, Thaddeus, Preston. Astrologists predict we will one day live on Mars. Although it's true that you can't go back to past tomorrows, you can't fear the future if you embarrass the promise of a better upcoming tomorrow. The future's a lot like homework. If you put it off, it'll get done or someone else will do it. Either that or you get a do-over.
Let the eagle soar like she's never soared before, from rocky coast to golden shore. Let the mighty eagle soar, soar with healing in her wings, as the land beneath her sings. Only God, no other kings. Let the mighty